Welcome to Real Estate Economics. So I created this intro video explaining what to expect from this class because we're going to get up and running with the class really rapidly, and I want you guys to be prepared. It could be a pretty intense class, so if it's not for you, I suggest dropping out and leaving the room for someone else that's more interested in taking the class. So the class is offered only 1 day a week, and the other half is expected for you to be doing it from home through the videos you'll see in this presentation here. And so you can see a bunch of different videos. Every week has different videos. So there's only half of the 2 1.5 hour blocks that are together in person in Nichols 322. Last year when I offered real estate economics, classes started on the Wednesday, and my actual in-person class was on the Monday, so it was easier to do the online stuff first as if it was a Wednesday class and then do the in-class stuff on the following Monday. But with you guys, the first day of class is the first day of classes, and thus you will have to do some of the work before that class. So for the first week, it's not going to be too hard. I'll just talk about this first and then I'll move on to the outline. This video that I'm talking about now will be the first video here. I'll send you guys a link as well, but you'll find it at the very top of the Moodle page. This is just a video that do a parallel between ECHO 103 and this class. So between macroeconomics, which is a prerequisite for this class and this class. And then over here is really what's expected from you for that first week. So you're going to have to watch one video and then make sure you watch it well, and then you'll have a series of questions about that video. For just this specific quiz, most questions, 7 out of 10, I believe, will be based on the video, and 3 out of 10 will be questions that I will use to understand different things from you guys. There's no right or wrong answer. And with that question there, you will get full marks regardless. So you have 7 really evaluated questions for this quiz. And then following weeks will be a little bit more busy, as you will typically have an assignment in the quiz. So I suggest doing the assignment first before the quiz, because some of the questions that are covered or asked in the assignments may give clues on answering the quiz questions. So if you do it in that sequence, you're going to do better. Typically, all the quizzes and assignments will always be due on the day that we have class together, but very early, so that during the day I have time to review your assignments and your quizzes, so that the discussion that we have in class is more applied to what you understand, what you're still struggling with. By seeing some of the common mistakes, it makes it much more interesting. So that's the format there. For the first quiz, I could give a slight extension just because it's on the first day of class, but I just put it like this for now. If you can get it done by then, that's great, just to get in the same pattern. Okay. So if I go through the outline, my office hours are here. On the Moodle page, you can see where my office is, Dobson Like SA 201. And essentially, this course, if I just make it a simple explanation, it's a real estate course. It's very practical. People have loved it in the past. Like, I've always had really good reviews. And it's based, the reason why it's so popular, I believe, is because it's very applied and very useful for anyone. Anyone who's ever going to buy a house in the future, you get to learn a lot of the important things to consider in any of your projects. So a lot of it is about building this model that will evaluate whether you should buy a house or rent an equivalent property, and with the extra amount of money that you're not spending by renting versus buying, because it's typically cheaper with all the costs involved, well, that extra money, you're going to be saving it in either a tax-free savings account, RRSP, or just a normal savings account, stocks and bonds, Bitcoin, whatever you want. So we're evaluating what is the best option for you, depending on different time frames from 0 to 25 years on a monthly basis. All of that's going to become clear over time. There's actually a 3-page explanation of what's expected of you of the final project. If you look at it now, you might be a little overwhelmed, but it gives you a really good idea of what to expect. In this class, I used to have a textbook, but what we learn, most of it is you could find it online. There's no actual textbook that's useful for it, that's useful to buy, because you might only have a chapter or two that's really useful per textbook. So instead, I'd say don't need to buy one. And the only reason why you could get a textbook, but even there, I would just look it up online, is if you don't have a good working knowledge of Excel. The only kind of complaint or issue I've had with students in the past, for some of them, is that they weren't experienced enough with Excel before starting class, and they struggled with some of the commands. So I want you guys to do a review of Excel. There'll be a review of Excel in some of the videos, and feel free to come reach out and see how you could improve your Excel skills, what kind of formulas you could include, and we'll discuss that a lot more in class. But that's the only kind of component that some people have an edge over others, is if they have Excel experience. So I would say if you're going to get a textbook, you might want to get this one here that covers Excel more, or anything that's Excel related, so that the day that you have to build something, you know where to look for and what kind of commands exist. Google searches also work. So the class evaluation is split into 3 big categories: quizzes, assignments, which could be either in paper form or presentation form, and a final project, which is a mixture of a report and a presentation. So that's pretty much it for the quizzes. Just because the first quiz is really like the first day of class, I'm going to be taking the best quizzes minus your worst. So let's say I think in total there is 8 quizzes. So I'll be taking the best 7 quizzes and removing the worst quiz. So if ever you don't have time to do the first quiz, or you do it rapidly and it's not your best grade, well, it's gonna be scrapped. And the other semesters I wouldn't do this, so it's just a low advantage to compensate for the fact that the first quiz is due on the first day of class. All assignments need to be submitted in PDF form, except if it's on Excel. So like if you look down here, I kind of tell you guys, like the first assignment, I'm expecting a PDF file and the Excel file, the second one just PDF, third PDF, and then over here just Excel. And then there's going to be like oral and PDF. So even your presentations, if you're using PowerPoint, convert it to PDF, because when I'm going through Excel and I'm clicking on the assignment that you did, if it's not PDF, I have to download it. If it is, it appears on the screen, and it's just so much quicker and more convenient to mark, and it's easier for you guys to review afterwards as well. In some assignments, you have to know that there's always an answer, but what's more important is the logic. So if you can find the right answer of doing something, but you can't explain the reasoning, it's not as good as if you make a small mistake, but you understand. And in the in-class portion, I'm going to be asking different student members to discuss different things. And if you clearly don't understand, even though you submitted an amazing assignment, you're going to be docked off your marks, or you won't get any, because I'll either assume that you just copied from somewhere else, or that you completely relied on your other team members. So every part of this class, assignments, project, Excel file, everything, you should be able to explain on your own. If I pick at you and I say, Jimmy, tell me about you should be able to tell me about it. And if you can't, well, you'll probably lose all of your marks, or a good chunk of it. So make sure that everything that is submitted is well understood by all members. Anyone caught cheating will receive a final grade of 0 and will be reported. That's always the case, but this includes copying an Excel file. So last year, sadly, I had to give 2 people 0, and they were reported to the dean because they used the Excel file from a previous year's group. So don't use anything from anyone else. If I find out, you're obviously going to get 0. I don't have any flexibility, even though you might say, oh, it was a mistake. No. You've been warned. Any kind of copying of an Excel file is plagiarism, so don't do it. It has to be your own. You have to be able to build it all on your own. So this is what's expected. So I give like the weeks. So this starts from the Wednesday to the Tuesday, but just you could also just see it as this first number here is always going to be the class date, and this is what we're going to be covering. So all of these things are due. So like for September 20th, quiz 3 should be done, and assignments 2 should be done by 9 a.m. in the morning. And that's what we're going to discuss during the day. It's going to become clear over time what's expected of you in the initial model. It's not the full-fledged model that you'll have to present at the end, but that's pretty much it. And at the end of the class, we have a series of presentations. I'll get into these details more as we go, but this gives you a general idea of what's expected of you. Okay, so coming back to the Moodle page, all of these videos, you could click on them and watch them on YouTube. And if you just click on them here, you could change the speed. I know myself, I like to speed it up sometimes, so feel free. That's the beauty of online videos, is that you could choose the speed you want. You could go back to something if you didn't quite understand it. So that's pretty much it. Sometimes you'll have different articles, different things that kind of help understand some of the theory. So here, principal residence, I typically try to link like government websites and things like that. If ever you click on any and the link's broken or it's not working, let me know and I'll find an equivalent one. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. So later on in the semester, we're going to be doing evaluation approach. The property, I haven't chosen it yet. The one that's there is the one that was from last year. I'm going to be changing that to one that's for sale now and see how that goes. So all in all, super interesting class. You're going to be building a big model that's going to help you understand everything that's involved in buying real estate, whether you want to buy it just to live in it as an investment property or you want to work in real estate. I'm surprised to know how many students I've had take this class and that are now working in real estate and would like to contribute. So you might see some of those students later in the semester. If I get a chance, if the scheduling works, we might have like a presentation from one of them. But it's a super interesting class. I hope you enjoy it. But the big thing about the class is it's demanding on a weekly basis. But think about it this way, there's not much like extra readings, there's no kind of like evaluations like a midterm or a final. So the beauty about it is that you're going to be very busy with it, but by the final week of class, like by this date here, November 25th, your project's going to be sent to me. Your presentation file's also going to be sent to me. The only thing that might remain is that you'll be presenting on one of these days. It's your actual oral presentation. So if you think about it that way, well, from November 15th to the end of the semester, you've suddenly fallen like really not that busy in this class, which allows you to spend more energy on other classes that have the more typical format of having a final exam or a final project that's due at the very end of classes. So I've tried to set it up in a way that kind of meshes well with other classes. If you have any questions, reach out. And as always, like make sure that you're really interested in this and you're ready to put in the work. There's a lot of work involved, but people that stick around usually really like it. So looking forward to seeing you guys and talk soon.